New cannabis research was just published and it's absolutely fascinating and may help us understand a little bit better how cannabis and the receptors that it binds to can help us with stress and depression. This paper is mostly mouse studies, but what they found is in stressed and depressed mice, the blood brain barrier, which is essentially a brick wall that protects our brain from nasty and inflammatory things, it gets compromised. Stress can be really harmful, and that can lead to inflammatory things entering our brain. However, some of the mice that they were studying were resilient to the stress, so the researchers wanted to dive in and to see what was going on there. And it turns out that the mice that were resilient to the stress had higher levels of cannabinoid 1 receptors, the same receptor that THC binds to, on a specific cell type in the brain called an astrocyte in a specific region called the nucleus accumbens. And what they're finding is that these astrocytes are absolutely key in maintaining that blood brain barrier. So, mice with more CB1 receptors, specifically on the little fingers of the astrocytes, were able to protect and maintain their blood brain barrier and not allow for these inflammatory things to enter their brain. They also looked at the brain tissue of some deceased humans with major depressive disorder and found that in this specific region, they had much lower levels of these CB1 receptor genes. And interestingly, people taking antidepressants had higher levels of the CB1 receptor in the specific region, which may be an indication in partially how these drugs work. Didn't talk much about the actual cannabis plant, but I'm assuming this research will lead to further studies that evaluate that further. But at the very least, one thing that you can do to help protect your BBB is exercise, because that has been scientifically validated to specifically increase CB1 receptors in this region.